Today is Wizardly Words on Wednesdays. It's one of the offerings that Lizzie Dewey and I have within our website, A Cauldron of Crones. And the word that I want to dig into is actually more of a term. The term I want to dig into today is up-leveling. And of course, the other way you could say it is leveling up. But for some reason, I'm into the up-leveling. Up-leveling. So, when we were at the end of December and it was time to start thinking about words I wanted to bring into this next year, some words chose me. The word simplicity chose me, and then presence came in very quickly afterwards as one of my own gene keys that wanted star attention this year in 2026. Then the word kindness came in. So I have this trifecta of words, but I also have 12 dream arc animals who are traveling with me. So I have quite the circus happening here. But the other thing that happened during that time was this sense of wanting to up-level things in my life. And the biggest thing that I thought I wanted to up-level, and it was my choice to up-level this, was my creativity in the illustrative arts. So anyone who has watched any of my reels know that I do a lot of art journaling. And it's all done with my hands and ripped paper and jelly prints and washi tape and all these physical things, right? And it's really good for me. I enjoy the somatic experience of making art journal pages and ending up with a series of books. There's a whole line of my most recent books back there. But this last year, 2025, I'd been getting into AI art and making these illustrative images of my own personal inner work. So they are illustrating a concept with, utilizing AI art. Well, I no longer want to play in that playground of AI, and so want to develop my own illustrative style. Now, to do that, I have to up-level my art. I was, in art school, I was a potter. I was a ceramicist. I had a very good foundation in design work, and I had to have a year of drawing, and I had a year of painting, and I had printmaking, and I had, endless classes in design, and along with my, clay, playing with clay. However, I did not excel at the arts that you think of in the way of illustration. I have this iPad, and the iPad has the most amazing program called Procreate, and I could up-level my expertise in that area of Procreate and see if I can put together a style that is uniquely me, that might combine, the design elements that I utilize in my art journaling with maybe a little bit of abstract work. I don't know, but I decided to experiment with it this year. And I have brought in a couple of the animals that I'm traveling with. These 12 animals are there to help me to be a beginner again. So I have Gene Key 9 and the beaver helping me, the determination in service. So it's in service to my dream of being an illustrator. So I needed I needed a little help in taking it one step at a time. So the beaver is there to help me. Instead of looking at the mountain, I am putting one foot in front of the other, just day by day, and practicing in that element. And I have a number of courses I've purchased and free stuff on YouTube. And eventually, over time, I will know the program better and I will begin to create a style that is uniquely me. The other animal that's helping in this is the puffin. And the puffin is bringing in play. So the puffin is the vision of the innocent child. So, what would my innocent child do with procreate, And that's what I'm calling on a lot as I experiment, as I do things that fail, just utterly fail. I just am watching myself going, that sucks. Really glad I'm not online showing everybody my art yet. It's because I'm terrible. And so up-leveling comes with its own challenges, right? Up-leveling comes with, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a total beginner, so I have to invite in that beginner's mind, which it really is helpful to have the puffin, because the puffin loves being within the beginner's mind, because that's what a child is. The child is always beginning things. It's not excellent at anything yet, but it loves it because it's play. It's just this utter joy of play. I'm having fun learning because I'm allowing myself to experiment, and I'm doing my best to be patient with myself. Okay. I've also, though, been called into up-leveling other parts of my life. I am needing to begin my other two. I have two more up-levelings that are going to be happening this year that I am a little scared to talk about because it feels like they're going to be more scary than the up-leveling, the creativity. And yet, if I look back a month ago or the end of December, I was freaking scared about up-leveling my procreate as well. So maybe these two things won't be as scary if I can talk about them. All right, so one of them came in when I was chosen by one of the animals, and this guardian animal chose me. And it's actually the animal for my life's work. It's the emu, all right? The vision of grounded majesty. And so the emu came in and said, yeah, this is that year. You're going to be working with me. Let me read you a little about what the emu is asking of me. I blend together both strength and gentleness, and you too must learn how to unlock the great power of the gentle strength that lies inside you. Yeah, got that. Been doing that. I've been working on my inner life. I have been working through past traumas. I've been on that, right? But then it goes on to say, more than anything, now is the time for you to strengthen your physical body. Okay, I've also actually been working on that. When I got my dog 2 years ago, I up-leveled at that time. I up-leveled my walking. I had been walking every day, all right, once a day. I doubled it. I doubled my walking, and I have walked twice a day, every single day, except when I've been injured for 2 whole years. So I'm sitting there going, yeah, I got that. But then the next statement, your physical body is the bedrock of the soul. It is the guardian of a long and well-lived life. For anyone who's been following me for a while, you might know that I have struggled with an eating disorder basically since I was 13. And I have moved through so many layers of this eating disorder. And yet, I had tears just a minute ago thinking of how I have abused my body so much through that one lens of an eating disorder. It was a binge-starve situation. Well, I've let go of that seesaw behavior long ago. Let go of that. However, there is still an element of addiction to food, very definitely in my field. And, I think that's something I'm going to suffer from the rest of my life. I don't think it's something I'm ever going to be released from. That doesn't mean, though, that I can't take it to the next level. A year ago in December, early in December in 2024, I had what I thought of as a huge breakthrough. I had just found the key at that time to breaking through my eating disorder, what it looked like at that time. And I was doing plant-based eating, and my system was really starting to detox. And it's been a year that I've been with this plant-based eating until the last couple of months. But I have a feeling that there is some message in the suffering I brought myself in the last few months of overeating. Pretty much what I would call it is overeating foods that are not doing anything to add to my long and well-lived life, as he says here, the emu. It's my body is the bedrock of my soul. So how would I feed a body that is the bedrock of my soul? Would I feed it foods that have no nutritional value whatsoever and actually are detrimental in the sense that they end up being toxic in my system? Hell yes, I have an amazing body that can tolerate a lot. I mean, that emu is a strong creature, and that archetype is part of my body. It's my life's work, and that it handles junk just fine, which is, in a sense, part of the problem, because then I can't tell when it's maybe sneaking up on me and maybe shortening my life at the other end, or maybe making it so I'm not sleeping as well, or maybe it's subtly bringing in shadow frequencies because I'm eating at a shadow frequency. I don't know the answer to any of those. These are all just questions that are part of the up-leveling of my body and how I take care of it. The other aspect of it, the emu's asking not just for the foods that go into your mouth, but maybe maybe my body wants something even more in the realms of movement. Maybe it wants more in terms of flow. Maybe it wants some Tai Chi. So the up-leveling here is more a matter of what wants to be up-leveled. I don't know yet. I knew about the creativity one. I knew about that. I don't know what wants to be up-leveled here, but I am being challenged to up-level that. The third thing that wants to be up-leveled also chose me in the word simplicity. So, and when I got the word simplicity, I also got the animal, the magpie. And the magpie is the dream arc animal for Gene Key 23, which has simplicity as part of it. So the thing that wants to be up-leveled, and part of me doesn't even want to tell you this because then it's public. And I may have to do something about it because I said I was going to. But the thing that wants to be up-leveled is my house. My house is just a mess. I'm a terrible housekeeper. Now, I may have to up-level that victimhood stance because I almost have it as a badge of honor at this point. And in fact, I love this. This is, the magpie asks us to steal your empowerment back from this victim pattern. So somewhere I have a victim pattern about house cleaning. And, but it also says take time with this process. So I'm not going to just jump on the bandwagon and say I'm going to clean my house and I'm going to clean my house every Monday and I'm going to make myself do this and I'm going to make myself do that, because the reason I'm not going to do that is because I have Gene Key 40 as my radiance. And Gene Key 40 asks for us to use our energy in the most efficient and most flowing way. So it's for me to use my own personal energy in things that delight me and things that fulfill me. So somewhere the up-leveling needs to come in the attitude of cleaning my house. So I don't need any advice. You do not need to tell me how to do this. This is something that's going to unfold as time goes on. I think if I were a single person and had no one else around, I would have a much more orderly home. I happen to be married to a man who is literally pigpen. He walks in the house and around him swirls disorder. Okay, so the counter that is our kitchen counter is right by our front door. Whatever is swirling around him gets dumped on there. And it doesn't get picked up for weeks. You know, unless I do it. Do I want to spend the limited amount of energy that I have? I'm 69, for God's sakes. Give me a break. You know, I have a limited amount of energy and I'm doing an enormous amount with this inner work that I'm doing. And all the things that go with that, our website and you know, the Sage's Journey that I'm on, or last year it was the Devoted program that I was in. You know, I have my artwork that I'm doing. The questions I'm asking myself are, how do I bring in the joy of living within order, the joy of living within a simple environment that is kept orderly? How can I bring that in and allow it to ignite the energy I might need to put my house in order and to keep it clean? You know, that's something that I'm exploring now as well. Now, granted, for most of my life, I was a slob, and you know, when I had the money, I had someone cleaning my house. Part of me is a little bit ashamed that I live in a 640 square feet and I can't keep it clean. And then my victimhood comes in and says, oh, but I'm married to Pigpen. As soon as I get it clean, he's just going to mess it up again. And then I have to clean up after him. That fucking sucks. A lot of that's victim stuff because there's always a solution. So, you know, I'm dealing with another person. So that brings in yet another element of how do I compassionately communicate my desires? But you see, I don't even know what my desire is yet. Something that's interesting about these last two goals that to me seem unformed, they're slightly unformed. It's either that creativity. I'm going to learn Procreate in order for me to get a style to illustrate a book or an oracle deck. That's a goal. I don't know yet what my other two goals are. But what's underlying them is I do desire to live in an environment of more beauty. So then with the body, the other thing is I think my body might want to be less full all the time. I think the problem with my body is that I have overridden its natural responses for almost my whole life. So it's difficult to get inside there and really figure out what's going on. So that may be part of the up-leveling, that I really need to dig in there. And the same with the house. There, even though I have this desire to live within beauty, where in my past was I a little piggy? Because I'm very casual with my cleanliness. It's just too far, right? The house over the last 6 months has just gone too far into the realms of yuck. And it's so much easier on both of these places that want to be up-leveled and are being called to be up-leveled, or I wouldn't have been given the word simplicity and the magpie, and I wouldn't have been given the emu if there wasn't something calling me into cleaning out, and maybe they're tied that way, cleaning out the clutter of my that's being stuffed into my body and the clutter that's being stuffed into my home and the dirt. I haven't swept my house in blah 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 weeks. So I was talking about toxins being put into the body, and then there's toxins in our house. Those are really tied together, aren't they? So this up-leveling of the two might be able to go hand in hand. I have to find maybe one of the animals that I'm traveling with might be able to help me to even turn an addiction to food into an addiction to cleaning. That is actually a possibility, Who knows? I need to be open to both of these, but both of these are wanting to be up-leveled. And I think I'm the one that's wanting it, but I'm also getting called from my higher self into. This came in the Sage's Journey this week, and when the Sage's Journey opened with a life's work, and then Lizzie and I just did a podcast on this as well, with that beautiful part of my gene key that was written for the Sage's Golden Path book. Where Richard is talking about the actual line gene key combination. Mine is gene key 34.6, and the word is integration. Now, integration may come into this up-leveling, very possibly. It's certainly a large part of my art. But what this poetic set of words did for me is it called me into my own greatness. It called me into my own genius. That word integration, the Chords of Freedom Sutra, all of it called me into my own mythic nature. If I'm going to be this mythic being, if my life is going to be this juicy story, doing my part to bring forth the next human, it may need more from me. It may need me to clean up my body, to clean up my house, to clean up my victimhood, to clean up any of those things that haven't been addressed yet within the last 3 years that I've been doing this Golden Path, twice in the last 3 years. So Up leveling. Why not? Why not allow the mythic self that wants to be born in this human vessel? Why not let it come into a place that is gentle and kind to it, a place that is beautiful, a place that is ordered, a place that is clean, and a place that is no longer toxic? Am I going to be a mythic human by the end of this? Oh, hell no. This is all just part of the journey to get to a better me. And part of it I'm running. I chose the creativity up leveling. And part of it, clearly my soul is inviting me to look at it. In fact, I like this idea. I'm thinking of it as a video game, which that word up leveling comes from, or leveling up, is that I've been playing at this one level. I've gotten all the little Easter eggs in this area, and I've learned how to get rid of this boss over here, and I've figured out how to get past this mysterious swamp, and now I just finished getting this last boss, and I level up. And that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as more of an adventure and more of a way to look even more deeply into myself. Why is it that I don't clean my house more often? What is it about my past? It's not just my husband's pig pen. Yeah, I'll have to deal with that and I'll have to work it out. But, I love him. He loves me. We'll work it out. What is it about me that doesn't keep her house clean? Anyway, I have talked on and on and on. I think you get the idea of what up leveling is. And I guess I'm asking you, are you being called at this time? This is the Gene Key 41. It's the new year of the Gene Keys. It's the first stop codon. And it's are you being called to up level something like I am? I've got this trifecta of up leveling. And I am bringing in that word kindness, as you've noticed through this whole thing, because if I'm not kind to myself, none of this up-leveling will ever happen. Because I don't blossom with harshness. So, okay. Thank you. Thank you for being present with me. That's one of my words, presence. Thank you for being present with me as I sort through what must seem quite confusing, because it's confusing to me. There's no answers. I just know it's in the works. And yeah. So what have you got in the works? Let me know. Bye-bye.